Using Amazon S3, it is possible to set up a static website and for it to be accessible to anyone on the web. The website URL will be of two forms. There is this one or that one. To be honest, to catch the difference is a bit tricky, but after S3 websites, they can either be a comma, like here, or it can be a hyphen, right here. It really depends on the region you're on, but overall, it looks like bucketname.s3 websites, AWS region, amazonaws.com. Okay? Sometimes you may be asked, what is the right URL? I don't think it's going to be the case now, but you never know. If you get a 403 forbidden error when you set up a website, you need to make sure that the bucket policies allow public reads, and we will get that error in the hands-on, and we'll see how to fix this using the bucket policy. So let's go ahead and learn how to set up a website on AWS. Okay, so first things first, let's see what we're going to do. We are going to create an index.html file, and I have created it right here. It is a very simple HTML file in which I will say, I love coffee, hello world, and display the image of a coffee. Pretty simple, right? So if we go to our directory, this is just on my local computer, and I click on index.html, I see this page. As you can see right here, the URL is not a URL that is public, it's just on my computer, but this is what we want to see at the end of this tutorial. Okay, now we've seen what we want to see, let's see how we can make it work on Amazon S3 static websites. The first thing I have to do is go back to permissions, bucket policy, and make sure I delete this policy entirely, so now we have no more policy. This way we're back to the default. Okay. So now I get to overview and I can click on upload and add a file, and I will add my index.html file. I will click on next. Next, we'll leave encryption to be equal to none. Click on next and upload. As you can see, it did not work. I get an error on my upload of my file of index.html. And the reason is when you do edit bucket policies, when you do change the bucket policy, it can take a little bit of time to be reflected in your bucket. That's Amazon S3, it takes sometimes a bit of time. So let's go ahead and try to upload this index.html file. But I want to keep this error just to show you that sometimes when you change a bucket policy, the result of it isn't instantaneous. So this is my third try, but I waited 5 minutes and it basically took 5 minutes for it to be active, but now I can upload my index.html just fine. It just took 5 minutes for the bucket policy to replicate. Okay, so index.html is fine. And if I click on it, we can see that it works, it has no encryption, and it is there on my bucket. If I click on open, it doesn't work, right? We still get like a website, a URL, but it's not able to access the image. We'll see how to fix this right now. For this, we go to properties and we click on static website hosting. Out of it, I will say use this bucket to host a website. The index document is index.html. The error document is fine. And then we click on save. And as you can see out of it, if we click back on this, we get an endpoint right here. That is the full endpoint of my website. So if I click on this endpoint, I get a 403 forbidden, access denied. What does that mean? That means that basically I am not able to access my bucket because it doesn't have the right policy. So I have to add a bucket policy, which will allow anyone to read content on my bucket. For this, I go back to my console. I will go to permissions. And now, since November 15, we have to click on public access setting. And this is basically some settings that AWS put so that we don't put stuff in public mode without knowing that we actually do it. So it's a safety to make sure there's no data leaks. And so just for this tutorial's sake, we have to untick the last two ticks, which is block new public bucket policies and block public and cross-account access if bucket has public policies. And the idea is that because we're going to apply a bucket policy right now, that's going to grant public access to the bucket because it's a website, we have to untick these two things. But overall, this is really good protection. So click on save, then we have to type confirm, and then click on confirm. And now we have the public access setting successfully updated, and now we can click on bucket policy. And here I need to add a bucket policy. Let's use again the policy generator. For a type of policy S3 will allow principal star, so anyone, to use Amazon S3 for the action get objects. So we want to allow anyone to read our objects, okay? And the ARN I need to get from here, the ARN of my bucket. So I'll copy this, paste it, /star to only allow objects. Click on add statement and generate policy. And here is our policy, which should allow read access to our bucket as public. I'll save it. And if everything worked, we get this warning saying this bucket has public access. So basically now anyone can read any files in my bucket, even you can if I leave this bucket on. And so basically it says you recommend that you never grant any kind of public access to your Amazon S3 bucket, really unless you're using an Amazon S3 website. So that's it. We go to overview. And now basically if we refresh this website, we get I love coffee, hello world. And now this works. So we passed the 403 forbidden. As you can see, it loaded my HTML page and it also loaded my image coming straight out of my bucket. So it's pretty cool. You can also test directly from the image. You can click on the image and click on the link, and this will directly load the image in a big file, in a big screen. So this is it. This is how you set up a static website in Amazon. Just remember that you have to basically set up the permissions and make sure the bucket is public using this policy, which allows anyone to get object of your bucket. And then you need in properties to make sure you enable static website hosting.